Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
The Full Melt.
Mark Manasseh used to visit a dispensary for medical marijuana to ease the pain from his multiple sclerosis. Now, all he needs to do is place an order on his phone and it can arrive at his door in less than an hour.
I like that they show me the expected delivery time, and so I can figure out, okay, I better finish cooking dinner then. So that I'll be ready for when the delivery arrives.
A new wave of apps started in the San Francisco Bay Area hope to create a new market for delivery services. Quill offers on-demand delivery for customers with a medical marijuana card. Meadow has deliveries from different dispensaries and also provides doctor consultations for those needing a card.
Well, we try to be pretty thorough in assessing the patient's past medical history, the indications, the reasons that they're looking for help from the medication.
In California, medical marijuana is big business. Sales hit over $1.1 billion in 2014. With services like Ease, supported by investors such as Snoop Dogg, technology that helps speed up pot delivery is pushing the once taboo market into the limelight. But regulations are strict for patients and drivers.
It is up to 1 ounce on any given day of flour, a product that any individual can purchase on a day-by-day basis. Nobody can purchase over their regulated amount at any given time.
Then there's the legal haze of payments. Marijuana is illegal at the federal level, so banks won't get involved. These businesses mostly rely on cash or the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. For now, Manasseh is making the most of the convenience. In San Francisco, Lexi Savides, CNET.com for CBS News.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. FullMelt.com. Toll free. 844-420-TALK. 844-420-TALK.
Broadcasting live from the PetPain.com studios in suburban Detroit. It is the Full Melt Show, where the only thing more noxious, more explosive than that Chinese explosion is farts from Woody the studio dog. It's true, not as many people are as affected. Just saying, it's only me. I'm the only one that has to suffer the consequences of Woody the studio dog. And let me tell you, whatever a pit bull eats, also it farts. That is the hard, noxious lesson learned here. Welcome to the program. It is another crazy cannabis day in the 420 community. I'll tell you that, we've been working hard, getting ready for the Cannabis Cup coming up in Clio, Michigan on the 22nd and 23rd. That's Saturday and Sunday, not this weekend, but next. And what a great time it ought be. If you haven't been to a cannabis event in Michigan, you have to go to its pinnacle. It will be the Cannabis Cup. It's considered the medical cannabis cup, I think, here. Do they call it the medical cannabis cup? I think they do. I mean, I know they've done this in other places where it's just medical marijuana there, and they always called it the medical cannabis cup, and I think that's how they're still billing it here. I can't wait in this state until we have our first regular old cannabis cup. The Michigan Cannabis Cup. Right now it is de facto the Michigan Cannabis Cup. But it's still the Michigan Medical Cannabis Cup. So we're getting all the details ready for that event. You know, I've got a nice studio, because our studio is mobile. I mean, we do take the PetPain.com studio on the road with us. And in order for you to locate us, it's nice if we've got a big sign with the logo on it that's got our, the fullmelt.com. So we've got a couple of logos on this big sign made for the tent now. That is our mobile studio, the tent. If you haven't been to the Cannabis Cup in Clio, it is an outdoor event. I mean, it's held at a speedway. Not a gas station, but rather an auto speedway. So there's a big track, and everybody's pretty much out in the track area. And what a great time it was last year. I know so many people had a great time at the event. You want to make sure you bring, if you're expecting to get into the medication area, because there is a medication area. If you're expecting to get in there, make sure you bring your Michigan cannabis card. You need your medical marijuana card if you want to get in there. They're not going to let you in without it. Just because you're going to the cup doesn't mean you can get into that medication area. You got to have that card. So just plan for it. We certainly are. And, I think Russ Belville, I think, is going to be out there. If I'm not mistaken, I haven't talked to him, but, word is, my inside word is he's going to be out there. I'm looking forward to talking to Russ. I'm sure we'll be in Radio Alley with Russ. I was talking with Ryan, formerly the Skunkworks radio show, and also formerly of this show, a version of this show. And Ryan, who used to be our intern on this program, might be joining forces with us again. It'd be interesting to see if we can get him. We're looking to try and get to, we're going to do the Jamaica Cannabis Cup. We'd like to broadcast live from the first ever Jamaica Cannabis Cup. And so I was talking with him about teaming up to make that happen. We're already going to be at the one in Clio. It would be nice to be at the first ever one in Jamaica. And then I really don't care about Amsterdam because, I don't know, nothing big about wooden shoes and tulips appeals to me. Yeah. I suppose it's colorful and loud. You got to like the windmills. They're fanciful and old, antiquish, kind of rustic. You got all those waterways in Amsterdam, all those little canals linking everything together. That would just freak me out. I was watching video of somebody in Amsterdam outside of a bar, and they're just effing around outside the bar at night. You get drunk people goofing around. And there was a bridge, because they have bridges that go over the canals in Amsterdam. And these guys were not near a bridge outside the bar. And then all you got is the street and then the canal. And then on the other side is another street and then, some other establishments. And people like to get from one side to the other. But if you're doing this in Amsterdam, you got to first cross the street, then get across the canal. And there's little, pedestrian bridges to make that happen. I don't think that if you're in Amsterdam that you want to end up in the canal water. Ew. Ew, 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 ew. So many people in this bar video ended up in that canal water I think they were trying to jump a gap on the bridge. Or maybe it wasn't a bridge. There was just a narrow spot in the canal, and they were daring each other to try and bridge the narrow gap with a leap. Just jump across the gap. You can make it like a buffalo in Africa. Look, the crocs aren't nearly as, plentiful at this one spot. If you could just make the gap, just jump. Don't get in the water, just jump. There's still crocs there, but you got to just make it over. It's a leap of faith. That didn't work out so well for most of those guys in that video. I think a lot of the... if I'm not mistaken, and, anybody that's been to Amsterdam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those are like sewage canals, too, They have water canals, and they have, like, sewage canals. You don't want to be in a sewage canal. Ick. So, speaking of ick, all right, first I got to get to the first ick. I got to just tell you the story because it's ick. I mean, it's gross, and this has nothing to do with pot. I just have to tell you, but it was a news flash that came across before we were coming on the air. And I just have to tell you because this is such a rare occurrence. I mean, your likelihood of being killed on a roller coaster is less than that of being swept up in a tornado, I believe. Statistically speaking. I mean, I suppose that would take into account the fact that you were on a roller coaster, that all people had been on a roller coaster. Because you couldn't suffer the fate of the roller coaster lest you were on it. I don't know, it's a weird stat. Anyways, so park guest killed at Cedar Point. This is according to WXYZ. Park guest killed at Cedar Point after being hit by Raptor, the roller coaster. Cedar Point officials say park guest has been killed after entering a restricted area. The other unidentified person went into a fenced-off area of the Raptor roller coaster and was struck by the ride. The park says local officials are on the scene investigating, and Channel 7 urges everybody at WXYZ.com to view in there for the latest details on this breaking news. I mean, this to me sounds like suicide by roller coaster, isn't it? I mean, who in their right mind climbs into a restricted area, and you know what the restricted area is there for? It's to protect you from being struck by said ride. Now, it's pretty well labeled, park personnel only, danger. You got to know. So why would you jump the fence to be on the other side and then just stand there waiting for the roller coaster to come, lest it was suicide by roller coaster? And you must have had a really bad time at the park to be so depressed that you would need to be killed by roller coaster. I mean, that's just such a sad thing. And, what makes that worse, I think, is if you're on the ride, right? If you're the guy that's in the first car of the Raptor, when it slams around and hits the body obstructing its pathway, yeek. So that's from my yeek file. Also from the yeek file, before we rush off to break, and this is also very yicky. Let me shuffle over to it. This is the story as is posted. It's just so yicky. Oh, where's it at here? Here we go. I posted this on Facebook because this is not how you crotch it. This is from the Washington Post at thewashingtonpost.com. In Texas, police search woman's vagina for marijuana. Now, that's not all that uncommon. However, listen to this. A Spring woman claims sheriff's deputies violated constitutional protections by conducting a body cavity search on the concrete of a Texaco gas station parking lot during a routine traffic stop in late June. This lady's name is Miss Corley, Sharnisa Corley. A 21-year-old African-American was driving in northern Harris County around 10:30 p.m. on June 21 when a male deputy pulled her over for allegedly running a stop sign. He said he smelled marijuana, handcuffed her, put her in his vehicle, and searched her car for almost an hour. He didn't find any pot. Returning to his car where Corley was held, the deputy again said he smelled marijuana and called in a female deputy to conduct a cavity search. When the female deputy arrived, she told Corley to pull her pants down. And I'll leave that story here during the break so we can tell you the rest after we come back on the other side.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at Canalock.com. Visit Canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571. 571.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with Max Power Monster Aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dordt Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570. It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio Show.
So I was telling you about this lady in Florida. I'm sorry, it was in Texas. Who gets pulled over. Gets her pants pulled down by a female deputy after an officer searches her car for over an hour after he says he smells weed. Corley protested because she was cuffed and had no underwear on. The deputy ordered Corley to bend over, pull down her pants, and begun to search her. Then, according to Kamek, Corley stood up and protested, so the deputy threw her to the ground and restrained her while another female was called in to assist. When backup arrived, each deputy held one of Corley's legs apart to conduct the probe. Incredibly, a spokesperson for the Harris County Sheriff's Department told a local TV station that, quote, deputies did everything as they should, end quote. And so there you have it. Holding a woman down and forcibly penetrating her vagina to search for pot is officially policy in Harris County, Texas. Keep in mind that under Texas law, it takes more than 4 ounces of marijuana to bring a felony charge. This is what 4 ounces of marijuana looks like. It has a link there. Seems doubtful that a woman could be casually driving around with that much marijuana stuffed into her vagina. So Corley was forced to the ground, stripped and penetrated to search for evidence that, at worst, would have amounted to a misdemeanor, which means that the Harris County Sheriff's Department believe it's perfectly acceptable to allow a stranger to forcibly probe a woman's vagina in order to prevent her from possessing a personal use quantity of marijuana. And even that happened without a warrant, based only on one deputy's claim to have smelled the drug. This story comes 2 years after 2 women filed a lawsuit claiming they were cavity searched after being pulled over for throwing cigarette butts out of the window. By the way, that's a dumb move. If you're smoking in your car, don't throw anything out the window. Duh. In Michigan, so much as a cigarette butt is an arrestable offense. I shall warn you. I mean, it's a misdemeanor, but they can't arrest you. And then you're subject to search because you've been arrested, so they can search you now. You're giving up your rights to search if you indeed litter in front of an officer in the state of Michigan. So they say that they were cavity searched after being pulled over after throwing cigarette butts out of the window. That lawsuit claimed to have found evidence that such searches were, quote, standard procedure, end quote, in the Texas Highway Patrol. In May, Reason's Job Jacob Sullum found 3 more incidents, all involving women suspected of possessing marijuana. I wonder how old they were. I'm just saying this girl was attractive, young. She's 21. Hey, I smell some weed. Hey, come here. Come here. We got a live one. You have to rise above the appearance of impropriety, Mr. Officer. Yes, you're charged with arresting people with marijuana, a ridiculous charge. But it doesn't really rise to the level of having an officer pry apart some young woman's legs in the staging area for gasoline fueling at a fuel station. In May, I already told you that. The law doesn't take effect until next month because the publicity from those instances prompted the Texas legislature to pass a law that's supposed to prohibit such searches without a warrant. But being that law doesn't take effect until next month, this didn't apply. That the state would need such a law in the first place speaks volumes, doesn't it? But it isn't just Texas. In January of last year, this article says they note the other places where these searches have happened. Oakland recently paid $4.6 million to 39 men who were illegally strip searched in public. I mean, public nudity in many places is a sex offense, which I think is also ridiculous. There's nothing sexual about nudity. Nor more than there's anything sexual about non-nudity. There are places up until recently, and I think that you still can do this in places in San Francisco where you might be sitting at the bus stop and a totally naked person might come up and sit down next to you. I mean, buck-ass naked. Hey, how's it going? Well, hello there. It's kind of creepy, but it's also kind of free, isn't it? I mean, okay. You don't got to look. I'm just saying. You're going to look anyways. You don't got to look. I don't want to look. So this is a sex crime in most places, but officers are subjecting these citizens to naked searches in public over drugs. In Chicago, a similar lawsuit filed just this week. There have been other recent challenges of cavity searches in Citrus County, Florida, Coral Springs, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, Mission, Kansas, and Milwaukee. A group of 4 cops spent 2 years subjecting women to traffic stops. They at least have been arrested and charged. But requiring a warrant won't stop these incidents from happening. In some jurisdictions, a cop can get a warrant with little more than a phone call. A couple years ago, 2 horrifying cases in New Mexico made national headlines. One man subjected to repeated digital and anal penetration, x-rays, enemas, and a colonoscopy, all without his consent. I mean, really, a colofrickinoscopy. Try and say that real fast 5 times in a row. Colofrickinoscopy, 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 colofrickinoscopy. I did it. Can you do it? I don't think you can. Days later, another New Mexico man came forward with a similar story. In both cases, the police obtained warrants that were approved by a judge and local prosecutor. In both instances, the police failed to find any drugs, not that it should matter. Last October also posted here about 2 additional incidents in which men were anally penetrated during drug searches in Tennessee. Come here, boy. You out of town, aren't you, boy? Want to play that dueling banjos theme. One of those searches was authorized when a drug-sniffing dog alerted to a $20 bill the man was carrying. I think the drug dogs can alert on any money. Just think about where all that money's been. There are times when it seems like we're moving in the direction of insanity in the drug war, at least when it comes to marijuana. These cases are a good reminder that in most of the country, things that are as bad as they've ever been. Things are as bad as they've ever been. A majority of the Americans now believe that pot should be legal. In a few states, it already is, at least under state law. A majority also believe that even harder drugs should be treated as a medical condition, not a crime. Which is the truth. I think you should treat drugs as a public health issue, not a criminal justice one. It's a horrible place to put that policy in the hands of those who would say you're a criminal. Yet the government is still waging terrifying raids on people because of pot. It's still performing sexual assaults because of pot. It's still taking children away from their parents because of pot. And it's still killing people because of pot. Excellent piece in the Washington Post. Love the Washington Post. They send me a lot of email now that I've subscribed to them a little bit. In other news. Now, this bugs me a little bit. I guess all these stories bug me to some degree. I think I bug me. Do I bug you? I bug me. FBI marijuana union organizer took bribes. FBI. Marijuana union organizer took bribes, rigged process. This article by Chris Roberts in the San Francisco Weekly. It's sfweekly.com. And they post a nice picture of Michael Aris, the San Francisco Weekly Dan Rush Union of the San Francisco. Michael Aris posts a picture from San Francisco Weekly of Dan Rush, union organizer, indicted on federal charges. I mean, these are federal charges. A Harley-Davidson riding union organizer, once hailed as Superman by the California cannabis movement, has been indicted on federal charges for allegedly taking bribes and rigging the union organization process. Really? Oakland native Dan Rush, 54, an organizer with the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, arrived on the medical marijuana scene in 2010 at a crucial moment. Via the union's political connections, Rush offered the emerging legalization movement and nascent medical marijuana industry legitimacy. But before a single shop had been organized, Rush took $600,000 in loans from a dispensary operator. That's money spent at Indian casinos and to pay local Hells Angel cell phone bills, according to an affidavit filed in federal court by the FBI. These loans were never repaid. Instead, Rush offered his creditors services like ensuring union endorsements or rigging the organization process against workers, the FBI alleges. Rush did not answer his cell phone Thursday morning. The UFCW's Washington, D.C. headquarters said in a statement released just now that Rush has been fired from the union. In the meantime, the details of the indictment, yet another local corruption investigation by the FBI, are stunning. A warrant for Rush's arrest has been issued following his indictment in federal court on August 10th. It was not immediately clear Thursday if he's in custody. An FBI spokeswoman did not immediately return a request for comment. It's hard to overstate how central of a figure Rush has been to legal cannabis. Rush, recall, catapulted to fame in 2010 by organizing medical marijuana workers in the Bay Area, the first cannabis workers in America to have union cards. That same year, union affiliation helped legalization measure Prop 19 earn endorsements from political leaders and the NAACP. He's also involved with the Coalition for Cannabis Policy Reform and was until recently a member of its board. He appears to have been scrubbed from that listing as of Thursday morning. Here's Rush's and the UFCW in 2010 at a press conference with workers at Oaksterdam University announcing the union's entry into the industry. Appearing at this conference are also some of the witnesses who would build the case against him. I'll just play this for you because I think it's interesting. Do we have time? Yeah, we get some time. How long is the video, though? That would matter. Let's plug it in and see. Here we go. Good. Spare me already. I don't need the big pan flute lead in. Oh, good Lord. Are you serious? This is what we're going to get?
Today,
Come on.
innovative school.
Oh, Christ. Christ already. Here we go.
Good afternoon, and welcome to Oaksterdam University, and welcome to Oaksterdam, a.k.a. downtown Oakland, and Oaksterdam, the philosophy. Oaksterdam is a one-of-a-kind, innovative trade school for the medical cannabis industry. Today, we're very pleased to be able to announce that the workers in Oaksterdam and other members of our coalition of employers and faith, labor, and diversity organizations in Oakland are coming together on behalf of our members of UFCW Local 5 to announce that the workers have gone union.
There you go. That's the announcement. I mean, it goes on. It's a press conference, but it goes on for some, looks like 9 or 10 minutes. I'm not going to play that whole thing for you. There he is, though, announcing that the people there at Oaksterdam University were becoming union card members. Rush, who was closely involved in Measure D, the process to regulate medical marijuana dispensaries in Los Angeles, is also connected to legalization's most prominent pitchman, Lieutenant Gavin Newsom. He's lieutenant governor. Gavin appeared on Rush's behest, giving a welcome address to the annual awards dinner of the Institutio. Oh, good Lord, it's all in Italian. I'm not going to read that to you. Low-income workers group, which Rush serves as treasurer. It appears that the case against Rush has been building for at least 3 years. Beginning back in 2012, several Oakland-based dispensary operators, Carl Anderson, who operated a dispensary called Old Amsterdam, Old Oaksterdam, and Martin Kaufman and Derek Peterson, who were involved with the current Oakland dispensary, Bloom, began giving the FBI information on a bribery and union rigging process that began in 2010. Do tell. The details come from recorded telephone conversations and wires worn by witnesses, including Mark Terbeek, Rush's attorney, who started cooperating with the FBI in January of this year, but may also be prosecuted. Rush is also accused of sending Terbeek's clients in exchange for $110,000 in kickbacks, cash Rush used to fund union activities like an annual labor dinner, as well as personal expenses and the cell phone bills of the Oakland Hells Angels, according to the FBI. Now, as good as time as any to mention that rumors of strong ties to the Hells Angels, members of which include legendary leader Sonny Barger, have been friends with Rush for years, have dodged Rush for a long time, in fact. According to the FBI, Rush took 2 cash payments totaling $600,000. Payment in 2010 from Kaufman. That cash was supposed to be a loan that Rush would use to remodel a house near his home on West MacArthur Boulevard into a medical marijuana dispensary. Instead, he used the money to pay off an earlier private loan taken out using his house as collateral. Under an agreement brokered by Rush's Oakland-based attorney, Mark Terbeek, the cash was a loan to be repaid in January of 2015. In the meantime, Rush would pay Kaufman $3,000 a month interest on the loan as a consultant. IRS tax forms revealed this, but Kaufman did no work, according to the affidavit. Meanwhile, Rush also took $51,000 interest in Anderson's future dispensary. Recall that at the time, Oakland was taking applications to expand its medical marijuana dispensaries from 4 to 8, and union membership was a way to score more points on a merit-based application. In 2014, Kaufman was informed that Rush would be unable to pay back the loan. Instead, Rush offered services in return. Specifically, he offered to rig the union organization process in Las Vegas, where Kaufman wanted to open a dispensary against workers and for the employer in Kaufman's favor. And to really drive the point home, Rush also informed him that the original cash stemming as it did from the medical marijuana pre-2010 was unclean, and any attempt to recover the loan might not go so well. Details from the indictment coming up after the break. Stand by.
You're getting the full melt.
Get growing with GrowMax. Indoor, outdoor, beginner, or a warehouse full of Gavitas. Probiotic organics, or huge production with max power monster aeroponics systems. We can help you rock it. YouTube GrowMax with 2 X's. Customer service is why we're blowing up. And I'm Dave. My cell number is 906-221-2111. We also specialize in electrical and HVAC and new double-ended bulb technology. 906-221-2111. Get growing. GrowMax.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
You know, it's not easy out there, but it can be easier. And when it comes to medical marijuana in Michigan and chronic pain management, Dr. Bob Townsend, renowned for his patient advocacy and deep understanding of how patients and medical marijuana certifications fit together, makes it his hallmark to educate and provide the best holistic treatment for your condition. His knowledgeable staff makes you feel warm and welcome, and Dr. Bob makes you feel well. With locations across the state in Cadillac and Gaylord, Kalamazoo, Marquette, Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Saginaw, Traverse City, you can't beat the convenience and feeling you get knowing you have someone on your side that cares. Denali Healthcare is on the web at denalihealthcaremi.com. Get answers to your holistic health questions or schedule an appointment now by calling 989-339-4464. Chronic pain management and holistic health answers is what they do. It's all they do. DenaliHealthcareMI.com. Get your certification and peace of mind now by making an appointment with Dr. Bob Townsend at 989-339-4464. It's the Full Melt Radio Show. You know, you can catch us here Monday through Friday from 7 until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talking to you about what I consider to be, I don't know. Remember in the Teamster days, the Teamsters Union, Jimmy Hoffa? It seems like this character to me is the Jimmy Hoffa, or potentially the Jimmy Hoffa, of the marijuana world. Here's how it all fell apart. Turbeek flipped on Rush in January of this year following Anderson and Kaufman going to the FBI in 2012 and 2013, according to the FBI. The fallout from all of this is just the beginning. In a statement, a UFCW spokeswoman said that Rush had been terminated but did not specify when. According to this indictment, Turbeek stated in 2014 that a write-off of Kaufman's loan to Rush would cause Rush to resist endorsing other prospective applicants in Nevada who are seeking the endorsement of the union. Turbeek said, quote, the write-off of Kaufman's loan to Rush would go a long way towards doors slamming for other people. During a monitored conversation April 24th of 2014, Rush proposed that MediPharm sign a toothless neutrality agreement with the UFCW. A neutrality agreement obligates the signatory employer from actively resisting an organization campaign of the signatory union in the employer's employees. Rush produced a proposed neutrality agreement with Peterson, said that bullshit fucking neutrality agreement, I wrote it specifically so you could pull away from it. End quote. Then Rush proceeded to advise Peterson how Peterson could secretly tell MediPharm's employees not to vote for USCW's affiliation. The indictment continues that Turbeek met with Peterson in Las Vegas, Nevada, and provided Peterson a 2-page memo intended to convince Kaufman that any adversarial proceeding regarding Rush's eventual default would be risky for Kaufman. I have obtained a copy of the memo. The memo stated in part that the transactions between Rush and Kaufman was founded on a deal involving unclean hands to launder medical marijuana money, which was the source of Kaufman's cash loaned to Rush. On May 14th of 2014, Turbeek met with Kaufman in Turbeek's office and broke the news to Rush he could and would not repay Kaufman in January. Turbeek attempted to convince Kaufman that the bad debt could be partially repaid through a tax fraud scheme, which Turbeek would engineer. When Kaufman questioned how the scheme would work, Turbeek explained that he had run the original $500,000 in cash through his attorney's trust account and could backdate false documents showing a legitimate loan of the money with Rush. I reviewed a recording of this monitored conversation. On May 23rd in 2014, Turbeek met with Kaufman in Turbeek's office and continued to push the tax scheme, adding that both Turbeek and Rush would lie if the scheme was ever questioned. Turbeek then moved the idea of leveraging Rush's position with the UFCW's MediPharm advantage. Turbeek assured Kaufman that MediPharm would still satisfy the criteria of merit of union support in Nevada, even though the prospective neutrality agreement between the UFCW and MediPharm existed. And then it goes on to say that in July of 2014, Kaufman again met with Turbeek in his office to review the pro-employers changes in the standard of USCW's neutrality agreement. So, and it goes on from there. It talks more detail about that neutrality agreement. So here's the deal. I mean, what this comes away with is this. These guys are thugs. I mean, they're clearly criminals. They got a tax scheme. They got a fraud scheme. They got a loan scheme. They got an IRS scheme outside of the whole tax thing. I mean, they drug a lawyer into this, and they laundered it through some accounts. I mean, this is a guy representing a union. And he's promising favors and then writing agreements that are antithetical to the favors and taking lots of money in the process. This guy's a pig. He is a pimple on the butt of the marijuana community and needs to be lanced forthwith immediately. These are the kind of guys that get you in trouble. I mean, I'm not the union. I'm hey, if you're a company and you want to unionize your employees or your employees want to unionize, I have no issue with that. I take issue when said union is fraudulent in its representation through its leadership. I've got to do this. I don't want to do it, but I think I don't know. I've got to find a way to do this. I'm going to run out of juice here. I'm not going to be able to tell you no more cool stuff. This is what happens when you're running on some battery power. You know the 2 crickets and a squirrel on a treadmill get this whole thing going, don't you? I mean, that's what it is. The crickets provide the electricity through rubbing of legs. The treadmill of the squirrel with a peanut hanging in front of him provides a boost to said electrical output of said crickets. So, in other words, I have a smartphone with a battery that's about to die, and it is the well from which springs the verbiage of these stories. So, the problem is, if I connect that device to the computer that I'm broadcasting with, which is the closest place that I could plug it in, the computer will detect, because it's a smartphone and it can get on the internet too, it will detect what's called what do they call it? Oh, it's a discrepancy. It's got 2 internet connections. It doesn't know what to do. It freaks out. So, and I think, is there a way to turn that off? I don't know. I shouldn't have to ponder these things on the air. I really shouldn't. All right, I'm just going to grab the thing. Stand by. Hold on. Now, there is another computer that I could normally plug this into, and it'd be just fine. But the problem is, it's the call screening computer. It makes noise now. I think there's some dust in the cooling fan, and it's making this horrible rattling noise. Something stuck in there. So I've got it turned off right now, and I know for a fact if I plug this in, it's going to have a conflict with those internet connections, and it will knock us off the air. So that is not a good option, is it? The best option has already been supplanted by time. It's been surpassed. The best option would have been to charge the phone more before we hit air. So I'm perplexed. I don't know what to do now. My cue cards are all on battery power. It's about to die. And I'm not even anywhere close enough to a break where I could resolve the problem with some extension cord or some other fanciful. Ooh. Oh, see, now I know he unplugged that bastard. I know he did. Yeah, there's a long extension cord outside of the building, and the guy who mows the lawn here probably unplugged it and then the Woody the dog. He's been banished to the out of doors for now. And he's being quiet. The expression is let sleeping dogs lie, isn't it? It's a good reason for that. Especially with Woody the dog and his noxious gas. Oh. I mean, I love that dog to death. If you ever get a chance, if you got the space or the time, and foster a pet. Go to a rescue, save an animal, foster him for a while. It's a good thing. It's good for you. It's good for the pet. Woody would have been in a bag by morning if I didn't come and collect him. And he's the best doggy. I'm just saying. But he's stuck outside, and he is guarding the cord, which is not plugged in at the other end because the lawn mowing guy probably unplugged it this morning. So, I don't know. I'm just going to ad-lib from here and tell you this. So, with this Jamaica Cannabis Cup thing, are you going? Are you not going? Do you know? First off, I got to give you the news. If you didn't hear, they announced it back in April that the Cannabis Cup is moving from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, to Jamaica, Negril. And it's this November. They haven't announced a lot of details yet. They haven't announced any venues. I'm sure they're selling travel and other accommodations. But they haven't said anything about it yet. It's still mum's the word. So when those details come out, we intend to, again, be broadcasting live from Negril, Jamaica, come the middle of November. It should be a good time. Keep your eyes posted to cannabiscup.com and see what's going on in Jamaica. If you want to go, it should be a riot. It should be, first off, it's the first one they're ever going to do. There'll never be another first. Stuff will change from the first time to the next time. It's just how things happen. So I would suggest that if you want to get a full view of what's going to be happening in Jamaica this fall with the Cannabis Cup and High Times Magazine, that you get on board now, that you start saving now because you're going to want to save for airfare. You're going to want to save for hotel. You're going to want to save for the cup entry if you're going to enter into the cup, which you probably can't do from here, can you? I mean, the cup entries are all local, aren't they? I think there's a way that they've got to wait. I've got to ask Dan Sky about this. We need to get somebody on. I've actually asked them to come on again to talk about, hey, what about people that want to enter into the cup? I think there's a way you can do it in the States and have it judged in the States before they go over to Jamaica. And I imagine there's going to be some additional cup entries in Jamaica itself. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's how it's going down. In order to confirm that, of course, we'll have to get somebody from High Times, either Danny Danko or Nico Escondido or Dan Sky or somebody over there needs to come on this program and explain exactly to us how that process of entering the cup in Jamaica is going to work.
You're getting the full melt.
Got something to hide? Canalock offers discreet and effective storage solutions that destroy odor, so nobody knows. Canalock is a patented charcoal-activated bag that discreetly stores your marijuana. Canalock is made from the same material as military chemical warfare suits. Get yours at canalock.com. Visit canalock.com to learn more about no-smell technology.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
If you're like us, your pets aren't just animals. They're members of your family. Pet Pain CBD hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats. Some people are apprehensive about hemp treatments for pets. They ask us, what are you smoking? Absolutely nothing, and neither will your pet. Like other hemp-based products for humans, the allure is all of the benefits of cannabis without any of the high. The CBD oil has shown to rejuvenate the bones, joints, brain, stomach, eyes, and heart. And the drops contain absolutely no corn, wheat, soy, artificial colors and flavors, or preservatives. Pick some up today. Visit petpain.com or ask for Pet Pain at your local pet store. Petpain.com. CBD relief for your pet.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. Hey, we're back. It's really easy to subscribe to the program. Just go to thefullmelt.com, find the iTunes link, and click to subscribe. Just that simple, really. Got everything straightened around with the cue cards. The electronic cue... Jeez. The electronic cue cards. The microphone scrambles to the ground. Gonna move a little bit here. I've had to make some adjustments for this plug, I'm just telling you. So here's the story. This is the other shoe of marijuana if you let it drop. Growing number of Oregon cities, counties banning marijuana. This according to the Associated Press. In Salem, Oregon, at least a dozen Oregon cities and counties have taken steps to ban marijuana businesses from their boundaries as the state prepares to begin retail sales in October. 4 counties and 8 cities have informed Oregon Liquor Control Commission that they'll be banning marijuana producers, processors, wholesalers, and retailers. In some jurisdictions, the ban must go before voters. Oregon lawmakers gave local governments the ability to keep out marijuana businesses, which were authorized by voters under last year's Measure 91. Even in jurisdictions that opt out, adults can still grow and use marijuana, subject to the same limits that apply in the rest of the state. The cities opting out are Ontario, Vail, Nyssa, Brownsville, Sandy, Island City, Sutherland, and Junction City. The counties are Douglas, Umatilla, Harney, and It's Malheur, Malheur. Or Malheur. Might be Malheur County. So that's what I'm saying. That if you're going to do legalization where you live, you've got to take into account things like this. I mean, is it just going to be legal? In order to get it legal, did you have to give cities and counties the ability to opt out? If they do opt out, can they just vote amongst themselves, or do they have to bring it to voters in that area to allow them to opt out? Should opting out of a state law be allowable? I mean, I thought it was the idea that government provided a uniform treatment of people across the state. Isn't that what they're supposed to do? Equal protection under the law? So why would some people in some counties or in some cities gain or garner protection under the law that wouldn't be allowed to those of other cities? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Equal protection under the law means equal protection under the law. Does this mean the law is different in this local city? It's still beholden to state law. I mean, I guess in the end run, if if everybody follows the letter, a local community could opt out. But I think the devil is in those details, isn't it? I mean, if you're opting out and you're a city, but the people there, the people that live in that city, want a cannabis shop or want to be able to enjoy the legalization just like all the other places do, would they get a chance to say, no, we don't want your ban here? Yeah, you can propose a ban, but we don't want the ban. We already told you last year in a regular election we wanted this available to us. And now you're trying to ban it. And then what happens, I guess, what happens if in the communities that opt out? I mean, how are they treated now? Are they committing a misdemeanor if they opened up a shop? If they sell cannabis to somebody, are they then subject to some criminal offense? Or just a civil one? I mean, these are the things you have to consider when you say you're legalizing in your state. We're talking about Oregon here. It's one of the Fab Four, isn't it? If you don't count D.C., I mean, it's one of the Fab Four. You got to count D.C., but it's not really a state, is it? It's a district. And it's funny because it's a federal district. The very linchpin, the very cog in the gears. Isn't it? I mean, it's the monkey wrench that's holding everything up. The federal law. Yet the only federal district in the entire country and the capital of these United States of America has legalized cannabis flowing in its streets. And the very legislators that tell you and I we are Schedule 1 lawbreakers of the Controlled Substance Act. If you have some cannabis, if you grow some cannabis, if you use some cannabis as an adult, as a patient, you are breaking the law, sir. We shall carry you away forthwith to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Yet a guy in the next county over is doing the same thing, does nothing. Nothing happening there to that guy in Oregon. Just a guy across the border in another city, in another county in Oregon. You know, I'd love to get Russ Belville's take on that issue. Russ being of 420radio.org's 420 Radio. The Russ Belville Show. He's from Oregon. He broadcasts his program from there. I'd like to get his take on that issue. We'll be seeing him at the Cannabis Cup in Clio, which is coming up here pretty soon. It's only a week and a half away or whatever. It's like 10 days away. I mean, literally, what's today, the 12th? It's 10 days away. In that preparation for that event, because it's going to be a great deal of fun, I think it's interesting that there are two pre-cups parties preceding the Cannabis Cup. One is an official party put on by the Genesee County Normal organization. And there are details on the web if you want to get involved with Genesee County Normals. And by the way, endorsed by the Cannabis Cup, I believe, is the official pre-cup party. There's that pre-cup event. And then Buddy at Clio Cultivation also is putting on a pre-cup party. And I think he's even got a shuttle bus taking people back and forth from his place to the actual Cannabis Cup. So when the Cannabis Cup closes down at night, everybody rushes off to the ongoing pre-cup party, which I think is a clever way of keeping people there. Look, come on back to Buddy's. Come on back to the campground somewhere. Camp out for the night. Hang out, do some dabs. Talk to your cannabis buddies. Take pictures, post Facebook stuff. Meet each other's pets. Sell some T-shirts and some garb at your booths. Go back and have some more fun at the Cannabis Cup. It's going to be a lot of fun. Look, last year was a little bit weird because weather took over at the last minute. I mean, we were there out on the Speedway tarmac in our booth, and then it was very hot. It was very hot and sticky and humid that whole weekend. And then Sunday, because I don't think it rained. It might have sprinkled just a little bit here and there. Nothing much to speak of. Nothing that would chase anyone away. And then the sky got dark and discolored. And we knew it was going to hit. And then it did. I mean, winds are blowing. Straight line winds like 80 miles an hour. I'm not even kidding. It was blowing stuff over. It took everything we had in us to hold the tent down and to prevent water from coming in and collapsing the entire thing. I mean, it was really a torrential downpour following a huge gust front. And that was the end of the Cannabis Cup in Clio. That's how it ended. No award ceremony, nothing. Everybody packed up and went home. And the storm stopped, and I'm like, hey, where's the guys from the Cannabis Cup? They're like, oh, they're back at the hotel. I'm like, really? No award ceremony? How can you hold a Cannabis Cup and not have an award ceremony? It happened. It was preempted by weather. They just posted the results online. I mean, that's how everybody found out. I don't know how everybody got their actual awards, the cups themselves. I'm sure they had to make arrangements to mail them out or people come and pick them up or people come drop them off or something before they left town. And I wonder, I should follow up on that detail. That's a great question for somebody from the Cannabis Cup this year. I've got to ask Dan or one of those guys, hey, did anybody not claim their actual cup? Are you still hanging on to a cup or two from people who had to collect them this year because there was no award ceremony? I mean, I don't know. I suppose it was a safety thing, right? Because, it was pretty bad there for a minute. And then everybody was tearing everything down anyways. So I imagine it would have been chaos even if they had tried to hold the cup because everybody was busy packing and trying to dance around the water. I mean, really, there were puddles at the Michigan Speedway last year. We'll see if the weather holds out for us this year. It's been very recently dry here in Michigan. So if you play the odds cards say that there will be more moisture available to us in the coming days because there was none available to us in the previous days. We'll keep an eye to the sky and the weather forecast for the Cannabis Cup here on The Full Melt Show.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.